Hi everyone, and welcome to this session on customizing our columns and really jazzing columns up with background colors and such like. So columns, I think, are a wonderful, feature of WordPress, and I much prefer them to using tables. Tables look fantastic on a computer, but you run into all sorts of issues, and I know you get all the great collapsing ones and such like, but on a mobile device, tables are not ideal. So if we take a column though, the great thing about using columns in WordPress is that, hey, presto, wow, here we go. They just collapse. And I know like the structure, so the structure that they just come, base structure isn't that great. And that's why a lot of people tend to not use them. They end up with tables which don't look great on mobile devices. But actually, to do a bit of jazzing up and make them stand out a bit more, doesn't take a hell of a lot of effort. So I'm just going to run through that now. Now, I'm assuming here that you don't know how to use cascading style sheets, and that your knowledge here is fairly basic. If you know how to use cascading style sheets, then I suggest that you maybe ignore this, and yes, you could use containers, and you could do some styling in your sheet rather and just call out a class for that container. But what we're going to do here is we're going to do the styling directly in the container, and you assume you're looking after your own site. You've got a few columns here and there that you're using or you want to use, and you just want to make them look a hell of a lot better. If you've got a 100-page website, then this might not be the best approach, because when it comes to changing things, it would be a lot of manual effort. But for a few columns here and there, you know what, this is fantastic. So what we're going to do here is literally just go in here and create a custom HTML block. And then what we're going to do is create our own container here. In fact, before we do that, before we do that, let's remove that block for now, is what we will do is we'll just copy, make a duplicate of these columns. So we've got, hey, here's before and after, yeah? And what I'll do is I'll add in a custom HTML here. We'll create a container. So creating a container here, and then we're going to do some styling. So I'm going to say style equals background, and then I'm going to pick a color from my theme. Okay, I don't have a lot of colors. I use this little eyedropper, which is a little Chrome plugin. So just going to pick that color there. Great, got myself a little off gray color there. It's tied in with my theme, and then apply that there, and then just close that container bracket, and then what I will do down here is just close that container. There we go. So closing container element there for the div tag, and then update that, and you will see. So here's our new table, and here's our old table. Okay, you can see not really highlighted much difference between those, but because you've got that background color now structure and holding your table together, you can all do all sorts of wonderful things. So what we can do is we can then say, actually, we're now going to make that stand out a bit more. We'll use blue there, and what we add in some more content, and maybe I don't know, we'll make that green, and we'll use a lighter text in that one. Well, maybe if we had the same content in there, obviously I would have to move that settings across, but I could just duplicate these two blocks and just move these across here, just to show you for an example. And but you could go in here and you could just be like, okay, I've got all my content here, I don't want to rewrite everything, just go in here and just want to change it so it's the same, and you could go in there and do that. And then we can just duplicate this one block. So here's a new content. We're just spicing it all up a little bit. And then all you can do is just, let's move this across. So this is saving us from like just using duplicate. I don't know if it's one of the WordPress features you use a lot, but you know it's really handy, rather than, especially if you're going to do any sort of HTML, rather than rewriting everything out each time. If you're not familiar with CSS, then this is quite a quick way to do it. Update that, and hey, boom, how's it looking? So now, if you compare our columns here, these ones down here, you know, wow, you know, there's a huge difference. I think you can see. You can, the limits are endless. You know, you can, you know, some people, you like a border. You know, let's add a little border in there. Border, let's make it just a thin border, solid, black. Yeah, so keep it simple. And then we can just simply copy that code between each of our blocks, each column. Yeah, oops. And I think, you know, you'll see, how's that look now? Okay, so we got some really nice structure now to these columns. And actually, you could, you know, somebody could easily be mistaken for thinking these are tables, but they're not, and they work so much better than tables, especially default tables anyway you get in WordPress. So I hope you're getting the idea there of what the potential is there for your columns. The thing you'll notice is when you start using containers and jousting around with the appearance of things, you know, the natural space that would have been there sort of blank, because obviously you filled that margin that was there for the image with your background color. But those sort of things are easy to sort out, and there are a couple of options there available so that your data is not all, you know, condensed into one, and it makes it difficult to read. So what we can do here is just simply go in. We could either put in we can do a margin bottom here, so we could do margin, margin hyphen bottom, and let's say 20px is a decent sized gap, so that like it's easy on the eye, not too wide a gap, not going to look odd. Copy that between each one. So this is one of two options really, this sort of method, and then just give that a refresh, and you'll see now when we look at that, you'll see, okay, the columns look great, and I know that I'm going into a separate column of data, and it's got a separate structure, and you know, so I'll run through quickly the other way that you can do this. So the other way that you can do this is the delete that margin out there, and you'll see that it will make no difference if you do it both, whichever way you do it. But you could just, at the bottom of here, we could simply use the inbuilt spacer feature, set that so that it's just 20 pixels, 20px, and then simply just same idea. You will see that it'll make no odds, but you could do both. So you still get the same margins. So these have got the margins put into the directly into the style for that container, or you can use a spacer. It's entirely up to you, but you get the same result. But I really like columns with the headers. So here we go, you know, we're using like headings. You know, each of these, you could have separate headings down here. You know, you could write like a load of content, have like a heading 3, heading 4, you know, and it gives really good structure to the content that you're displaying in your columns, to know that, so that when certainly when a search engine's looking at this data, it knows that this is just 3 separate sets of data, and they're all on different topics, all related to whatever the page is about, but substantially enough that you know, the search engine is going to know you're talking about 3 different things here, and perhaps we're comparing, I don't know, 3 different items or something like that. But you know, it's limitless on how you can configure things. And as I touched on earlier, obviously, if you had a huge site and you were using columns throughout, then it would be a lot simpler to use a cascading style sheet. But I'm going to assume that if you've got a website that's got 100 pages, you know how to use cascading style sheets, and you wouldn't need this tips and advice anyway. But yeah, just even like that simple. Let's made them bold, stand out a little bit more. Heading, but you could adjust anything as much as you want. You could change these colors and maybe have a different color of text. You can make text white, but potential's there to make them stand out. And I think you'll agree, they look great on a mobile device, and certainly versus what you can do from a base level with no container, with no styling. It is a lot nicer and smoother. So I hope you found this useful, even if it's just to change the background color of a column throughout or something like that. Hope it's been useful, and of course, if you've got any questions or anything like that, then please do get in touch. My name's Steve Davidson, and I'm the owner at D-Isla, and I hope you've enjoyed this session. All right, thanks for joining me. Cheers, bye.